The seeds of war are oft planted during times of peace. The first episode of Season 1 of House of the Dragon is titled The Heirs of the Dragon. The dragon in question is King Jaehaerys of House Targaryen, the royal family which has ruled Westeros since the completion of Aegon's conquest 130 years prior. Jaehaerys has sat the Iron Throne, the most important seat in the realm, since he was 14. His reign had been generally peaceful and prosperous, but a matter of succession risked to compromise such peace. The old king and his wife, good Queen Alysanne, had produced 13 children. In Prince Aemon and Prince Balon, his grace had the proverbial heir and a spare, and seldom had the realm been blessed with two more able princes. The succession appeared solid as stone, but the stone began to crack in 92 AC, when Aemon, Prince of Dragonstone, was slain on Tarth by a mereish crossbow bolt loosed at the man beside him. The king and queen mourned his loss, and the realm with them. But no man was more bereft than Prince Balon, who went at once to Tarth to avenge his brother. On his return to King's Landing, Balon was hailed as a hero by cheering throngs, and embraced by his father the king, who named him Prince of Dragonstone and heir to the Iron Throne. It was a popular decree. The small folk loved Balon the Brave, and the lords of the realm saw him as his brother's obvious successor, but it was not to be. In 101 AC, Prince Balon complained of a stitch in his side whilst hunting in the Kingswood. The pain worsened when he returned to the city. His belly swelled and hardened, and the pain grew so severe it left him bedridden. On the 5th day of his illness, Prince Balon died in his bedchamber in the Tower of the Hand. The old king had never been so alone, and now again his grace faced a nettlesome dilemma, for once more the succession was in doubt. With both of the heirs apparent dead and burnt, there was no longer a clear successor to the Iron Throne. But that was not to say there was any lack of claimants. King Jaehaerys announced his intent to convene a great council to discuss, debate, and ultimately decide the matter of succession. All the great and lesser lords of Westeros would be invited to attend, together with maesters from the citadel of Oldtown and septors and septons to speak for the faith. Let the claimants make their case before the assembled lords, his grace decreed. This is the scene that we see portrayed at the start of the very first episode of House of the Dragon. However, there is a noticeable difference. In the series, the two claims taken into consideration are those of Jaehaerys Targaryen and that of Rhaenys Targaryen. But in the book, Princess Rhaenys' claim is actually ruled out on account of her sex. In her place, her son Laenor was believed to have a more believable claim. But ultimately, the decision was the same. Jaehaerys' claim derived from his father, Laenor's from his mother, and most lords felt that the male line must take precedence over the female. The decision of the Great Council was never truly in doubt. By a lopsided margin, the lords assembled chose Jaehaerys Targaryen as the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. In the eyes of many, the Great Council of 101 AC thereby established an iron precedent on matters of succession. Regardless of seniority, the Iron Throne of Westeros could not pass to a woman, nor through a woman to her male descendants. In the year 103 AC, King Jaehaerys Targaryen died in his bed. He was 69 years of age. In accordance with his own wishes and the decision of the Great Council of 101, his grandson Jaehaerys succeeded him, mounting the Iron Throne as King Jaehaerys Targaryen I. At the time of his ascent, King Jaehaerys was 26 years old. He had been married for a decade to a cousin, Lady Aemma of House Arryn, herself a granddaughter of the old king and good Queen Alysanne. Lady Aemma had suffered several miscarriages and the death of one son in the cradle over the course of her marriage. But she had also given birth to a healthy daughter, Rhaenyra, the little girl the court singers dubbed the realm's delight. Though only 6 when her father came to the Iron Throne, Rhaenyra Targaryen was a precocious child, bright and bold and beautiful as only one of the dragon's blood can be. At 7, she became a dragon rider, taking to the sky on the dragon she named Syrax, after a goddess of old Valyria. At 8, the princess was placed into service as a cupbearer. but for her own father, the king. At table, at tourney, and at court, King Viserys thereafter was seldom seen without his daughter by his side. Meanwhile, the tedium of rule was left largely to the king's small council and his hand. Sir Otto Hightower had continued in that office, serving the grandson as he had the grandsire. The greatest of his rivals was Daemon Targaryen, the king's ambitious, impetuous, moody younger brother. As charming as he was hot-tempered, Prince Daemon had earned his knight's spurs at 16 and had been given Dark Sister by the old king himself in recognition of his prowess. Though he had wed the Lady of Runestone in 97 AC during the old king's reign, the marriage had not been a success. Prince Daemon found the Vale of Arryn boring. In the Vale, the men fuck sheep, he wrote. You cannot fault them. Their sheep are prettier than their women, and soon developed a mislike of his lady wife, whom he called my bronze bitch, after the runic bronze armour worn by the lords of House Royce. Upon the accession of his brother to the Iron Throne, the prince petitioned to have his marriage set aside. Viserys denied the request, but did allow Daemon to return to court. Governance bored this warrior prince, however. He did better when King Viserys made him commander of the city watch. That he made the city more orderly, no man could doubt, but his discipline was a brutal one. He delighted in cutting off the hands of pickpockets, gelding rapists, and slitting the noses of thieves, and slew 3 men in street brawls during his first year as commander. As King Viserys had no living son, Daemon regarded himself as the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, and coveted the title Prince of Dragonstone, which his grace refused to grant him. But by the end of the year 105 AC, he was known to his friends as the Prince of the City, and to the small folk as Lord of Flea Bottom. Princess Rhaenyra was also enamoured of her uncle, for Daemon was ever attentive to her. Whenever he crossed the narrow sea upon his dragon, he brought her some exotic gift on his return. Sir Otto Hightower, the king's hand, took a great dislike to the king's brother. On no account can Prince Daemon be allowed to ascend the Iron Throne, the hand wrote his brother. He would be a second Maegor the Cruel, or worse. It was Sir Otto's wish, then, that Princess Rhaenyra succeed her father. Better the realm's delight than Lord Fleabottom. As for the king's own views, all the chroniclers agree that Viserys hated dissension. Time and time again, he strove to make peace between Daemon and Sir Otto. When pressed upon the matter, King Viserys would only say that he was certain his queen would soon present him with a son. And in 105 AC, he announced to the court and small council that Queen Aemma was once again with child. During the same fateful year, Sir Criston Cole was appointed to the King's Guard. Here we find another difference between the series and the book. Sir Criston is presented to us in the series as a mystery knight who takes part in the tourney held in King's Landing to celebrate Queen Aemma's pregnancy. In the books, Sir Criston first came to the attention of the court when he won the melee held at Maidenpool. Afterward, he gave the 7-year-old Princess Rhaenyra the victor's laurel and begged for her favour to wear in the joust. In the lists, he defeated Prince Daemon once again and unhorsed both of the celebrated Cargill twins, Sir Aric and Sir Eric of the Kingsguard. With his pale green eyes, coal-black hair and easy charm, Cole soon became a favourite of all the ladies at court, not the least among them Rhaenyra Targaryen herself. So smitten was she by the charms of the man she called my White Knight that Rhaenyra begged her father name Sir Criston her own personal shield and protector. Not so long after Sir Criston donned his white cloak, King Viserys invited Lionel Strong, Lord of Harrenhal, to join the small council as Master of Laws. Thrice wed and thrice a widower, the Lord of Harrenhal brought 2 maiden daughters and 2 sons to court with him. The girls became handmaids to Princess Rhaenyra, whilst their elder brother, Sir Harwin Strong, called Breakbones, was made a captain in the Gold Cloaks. The younger boy, Larys the Clubfoot, joined the king's confessors. Thus did matters stand in King's Landing late in the year 105 AC, when Queen Aemma was brought to bed in Maegor's holdfast and died whilst giving birth to the son that Viserys Targaryen had desired for so long. The boy, named Balon after the king's father, survived her only by a day, leaving king and court bereft, save perhaps for Prince Daemon, who was observed in a brothel on the Street of Silk, making drunken japes with his highborn cronies about the heir for a day. When word of this got back to the king, Viserys became livid. His grace had finally had enough of his ungrateful brother and his ambitions. Once his mourning for his wife and son had run its course, the king moved swiftly to resolve the long simmering issue of the succession. Disregarding the precedents set by King Jaehaerys in 92 and the Great Council in 101, Viserys declared his daughter, Rhaenyra, to be his rightful heir, and named her Princess of Dragonstone. In a lavish ceremony at King's Landing, hundreds of lords did obeisance to the realm's delight as she sat at her father's feet at the base of the Iron Throne, swearing to honour and defend her right of succession.